that is on the DPDP 2023 Bridging Digital Trust and Economic Growth in India's Data-Driven Era, which is being organized by the Emerging Businesses Chamber of Commerce. So EBCC has been created and is run by entrepreneurs and service industry professionals to facilitate and promote the growth and development of emerging businesses across India through knowledge sharing and pooling of resources. It shall endeavor to work on the principles of think global and act global and promote innovative usage of local resources to achieve big targets through sheer force of will and knowledge. So, we are already aware of the significance of this act, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023, and hence we are holding this panel discussion today evening. And it is my honor to introduce you to our esteemed panelists for the discussion. We have with us Mr. Rodney D. Ryder, founding partner of Scriptboard. We will be having attorney Manish N. Jadhav sir, advocate Supreme Court of India and ambassador of Atmanirbhar Bharat India. We have with us C.S. Krishnan Kumar, associate vice president of Spectra, and we have with us C. Akash Vashisht, managing partner VABS and Company and the member of Accounting Standards Board of ICAI. So, without further ado, let's begin with the discussion.
Last 2 decades, thanks to the volume and nature of the data which is being collected. We've seen that traditional privacy laws might not be able to um, handle the kind of collection that's taking place, the kind of potential use or misuse. And this has been a progression. Post Puthuswamy, the decision in Justice Puthuswamy's case, there's been a detailed framework against which we will need to test this Data Protection Act and its rules, and any future drafting that will be done. For me, some of the key issues here are what's going to be the basic compliance matrix going forward. How do we evolve that? How do we deal with entities which are um, collecting data on other people's behalf? That means the data controllers, who are and always should be the data fiduciaries. In cases where data fiduciaries are acting as data controllers, I would see a greater cohesion. But since we advise a lot of clients in the finance, in the pharmaceutical industry, there are a lot of external data controllers who need to comply. So, smaller companies, how will compliance work out there? For me, perhaps the most interesting point is going to be the functioning of the data protection board, because that is going to be the body that will enforce the law, enforce the rules, and a lot will depend on them. I'll just give you a small example. In the years that we followed the European Union and the GDPR, what I have seen is while the old directive was common, as well as the GDPR is common to the entire European continent, but the way the privacy commissioners in individual countries function and the way they approach the enforcement of the law makes uh, Spain different from the United Kingdom, makes the United Kingdom different from France or Germany. So a lot would happen based on the data protection board. We've seen, for example, um, how officials who man a particular post, say the Election Commission of India, say the post of a judge somewhere, all of them bring their own uniqueness, their own originality, and how the data protection board will enforce the act what kind of impartiality it would show, what kind of severity it would show in cases of data breach. I think a lot would depend on that.
Thank you so much, sir. We understand that the board is going to play a very important role, as you say. Can we also have the views of Akash, sir? Sir, if you please may shed some light on how this act is going to redefine digital trust in India.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, EBCC, for this webinar. So yes, I completely agree with Rodney, sir. The one thing is, this act brings out the rights to the data principle. That is the highlighted part of this act. So these rights will definitely redefine the digital trust in Indian economy about the ecosystem of digital ecosystem of personal data and all. Because if you see the rights of the data principle, like one of the right is data principal will have right to ask the data fiduciary like whom he has shared the personal data, like with whom the data fiduciary has shared with some data processor or with some other data fiduciary, and data principal have also a right to some update their personal data or correct their personal data. And one highlighted feature is like there will be the a feature of grievance redressal. And in the draft rules, we can see there will be the limited time period that have to be mentioned by the data fiduciary at their own website, or you can say app. So like कितने time में वो grievance redressal provide करेंगी to the data principal. So these kind of rights given to the data principal will ensure us that definitely this act will redefine the digital trust in digital ecosystem in India, especially.
Thank you so much, sir, for shedding light on the aspect of the rights which are provided to the data principals. Christian, sir, can we also have your views on this?
Yeah, surely. So, with respect to the trust, which this act can digital trust in India's digital. So, we aspire to be a digital economy. Rodney sir had touched from an international perspective, so I would like to add from an enforcement agency point of view, because this DPDP Act, certain rights has been ensured. Then there are technological challenges also. So we need to upgrade our enforcement agencies also to bring that trust, because the user, the public, if to bring trust in them, there need to be some kind of robust mechanism in place. How we already have certain like UPI, unified payment system, then we have DBT, all are part of our digital ecosystem. But they day in day out we are also hearing a lot of scams, scams with innovative ways are taking place. So how need to have a system in place, enforcement and awareness obviously holds a key. So all these measure, if taken together, can further build the trust and in our digital economy.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have Manish sir with us now. Manish sir, will you please shed some light on this aspect? How would the DPDP Act redefine digital trust in India?
Um, the Digital Personal Protection Data Act 2023 is very vital. First thing, as they have asked for the opinions for making the finalization of the rules of with regard to this act, and which will start from 2025 itself. What I would like to say is that most of the times when your data is going out of India, most probably out of Bharat, that time we don't know where our data is going, how is it going, how is the security, is the security compromised? What if tomorrow someone hacks, someone, the hacker comes and hacks, or uh, if there is any vulnerability with the system or our relationship with a particular country which has this data may go into a wrong relationship. And there is where this act will play a vital role. These rules will become vital with the perspective of national security, with the perspective of personal individual security and with the perspective of data security. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question that we have is for Christian, sir. Sir, does the Act sufficiently address the risk associated with AI and emerging technologies in terms of data misuse?
Okay, so your question has two parts. First, I will address in two parts. First, what is this act? Then emerging technology like AI, and how it addresses the challenge. So we need to first understand how AI, what is AI, how it works. So AI is a technology used by the computer to produce human intelligence type of results by using algo, data, and computational powers. And with the generative AI and automated decision making, things are becoming more complicated. And data is the fuel for AI system. And if generative AI or automated AI are being used, then they need large database. And database obviously include various data in various forms and personal information, PI information also, what we call PI. And this DPD Act, the core principle of Digital Personal Data Protection Act, is to protect the personal data in digital format. And I remember the statement made by Honorable Minister on the House of Law that at the core, the purpose of this act is to protect the privacy of the individual citizens. Coming to that. So there are various parts in this act, like what are the rights available to an individual who has been called data owner, and the on the other side are the data processors, data fiduciary, and what are the role of government, what are the provisions in case of children, how which data can be shared, how data can be processed, and so on. But the act has nowhere mentioned AI as such. However, when AI needs data to train upon, so personal data is also part of that larger data. And privacy is a concern. There are, sorry, shall I continue?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay. So AI has very good opportunity, offering various opportunities and helping to automate processes and making faster decisions and so on. It is impacting our professional as well as personal life. But it is coming with its own set of challenges. Challenges in terms of privacy breach, infringement, and transparency, biasness, because it all depends on the data on which the AI has been trained upon. So far, privacy, breach of privacy, and use of personal information is concerned, we can say that yes, it can to a certain or limited extent, the act addresses it. But beyond this, uh, the act is not for this AI. The purpose of the act is to safeguard the personal information. How it will be, as Jadhav sir told, how it will be in case of cross-border transfer and all these things. What I believe that there need to be a separate act to address the challenges of AI, because AI challenges are AI is into a evolving phase. So challenges are not what we are seeing as on day. I mean, there can be more challenges going forward. So there need to be a separate act. In fact, cybercrime are also taking place with the help of AI, new technology. So where we can take our criminal laws help, but there need to be there is a need of the time to have a separate act for this purpose. In
Right,
fact,
sir.
I would like to quote one judgment of Honorable High Court of Haryana and Punjab, where the court stated that I'll read it verbatim. The exponential growth in technology and artificial intelligence has transformed identification techniques remarkably. Voice, gait, facial recognition are incredibly sophisticated and pervasive. Impersonation as we know traditionally are no longer valid. So to that extent, this technology impacting. So uh, I will again repeat, and I will request my fellow panelists for their views that this act purpose is different, and even other, if you see other states, they are also contemplating, and some have passed the act specifically for AI. Like recently, we have seen this EU AI Act, European Union AI Act. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, our next question is for Manish, sir.
Yes.
Sir, how does the DPDP uh, Act fit into India's broader digital vision, such as Digital India and G20 initiatives?
As Modi ji used to say that "ek hai to safe hai" recently in election, I would like to quote that um, "hum safe hai to ek hai" means safety first. If we are safe with this protection, this kind of protection, if there is some deterrence to the multinational corporations or big tech giants, and they know that if there is something accountability called in name of DPDP Act, then what we can do is we can create a deterrence and penalty, a mechanism which they may fear, and due to which there may be safety concerns, there may be certain safeties and accountabilities. If we do not have this kind of act, how can we, our vision of digital India, our vision to prosper? Sorry, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah. So, how can it's Atmanirbharta is not about just digital Atmanirbharta, it is about Suraksha. As all individuals do not know the security features of our own electronic devices, it is very important to have such kind of acts which will protect their personal privacy, protect their personal data, and protect their identity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Rodney, sir, can we also have your view on this?
See, at the moment, if we go into the act and the rules, let's start at the beginning. When the act was introduced, there was a lot of scope for the rules and a lot of role for the rules. Now, I think that was extremely prudent of the government because the act was enabled in such a way that it would stand a longer time, whereas rules could be amended, modified, changed as time goes on. So the government did not limit itself, and that was one of the great things about the act. The rules are um,
Right.
forward thinking, but at the moment we focused on the basics. The rules at present relate to a few important aspects of the data law. I do not think the rules at present cover everything in the act, but then I think that is good. One,
Right.
the rules relate to data fiduciaries. The rules relate to data transfers, especially cross border data transfers. The way data is to be treated, consent, the role of the consent manager. Now, this is an important provision which corporate organizations across the board will have to put into place. And I think the government has again given a lot of time. Data retention, um, data erasure is also hinted at. Children's data, now that's going to be a huge area. That's a part of the rules as well. And then the formation, like I said towards the end of the last question, the formation of the data protection board and the appointment of the board is again another uh, area where um, things need to be set up. So if you look at it, I see the present rules as an important first tranche of rules. More will follow in due course, but I think it will put in place the basic principles as well as a very strong oversight and regulatory mechanism. Further, the government has called for a transparent consultation process, and although our comments and industry comments are not uh, available or not are not published publicly, I think that there's no problem in that, because the way we look at it is that everyone has been invited, and the government would um, take into account all the views that it gets. And moving forward, um the the act, the way the rules will be, um, looked at in terms of implementation, I think that is the ultimate key to the success of this law.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Uh, we have our next question for Akash, sir. Sir, will the compliance requirements under the Act burden the small medium enterprises, or can they become a competitive advantage for them? Sir, you are on mute. We cannot hear you.
Now I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for SME segment, I would say there is both side of the coin is there. Like we have challenges and advantages for SME sector. First, I will give some aspect to challenges. Like there will be the cost compliance for the SME sector first to prepare the framework as suggested by this act. Another one is they have to train their employees as per this act requirements. And the third and the very important thing is this is not a one-time activity. This is an ongoing monitoring activity. So, and the fourth is I would suggest that penalties, as we all know, and we are all aware about the huge penalties in this act. So these will be the challenges for the SME sector. But there are not only the challenges, there will be some advantages point also. Like they can gain the trust and loyalty by implementing this act of their customers and their potential customers, I would say. And the one important aspect which I can see, if someone from the SME sector will implement this DPDP Act, so they can differentiate themselves from other SMEs, so they can advertise themselves also. Though this will be a good opportunity for SME segment also. Like another one is they can reach out to the global market by implementing of this act, especially to the Europe Union countries where the GDPR is there since last 5 to 6 years. So they can reach out by raising their privacy standard to that level by implementing this DPDP Act. So in my opinion, there are both things are there for SME sector. The challenges and advantages. What they should follow, like they should follow a balanced approach at the starting. Like they should try to implement this act in the phased manner. In the phased manner, like if you read the act, you will see like what is the most requirement thing in this act, that is the consent and the data protection, you will say. So first the SME sector should focus on the consent part and the uh, data security part. So what they can do, they can outsource it. They don't need to do the build their in-house team for this, because this will be the huge cost burden on them. So they can do it the phased manner and they can outsource it. So, and lastly, it's whether it will be challenging for them or advantages for them. It all depend upon their approach to this act. So with a balanced approach and with a positive approach, they can convert these challenges into the opportunities for them. So this is my take.
Thank you so much, sir. Manish, sir, can we have your views also on this?
Um, First, they have central government is very flexible with regard to uh, the MSMEs as well as the startups and all, they may notify certain particular class of MSMEs, startups, and they may give them permissions, grant permissions with regard to usage of this in good faith and in accordance with the law. So I don't think so there is any hurdle because they have kept this rules very flexible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is for Rodney, sir. How can the government ensure that exemptions for national security do not compromise individual privacy?
Well, it is not just for our government, but governments across the world are facing an increasingly difficult task to balance complete privacy with security. We live in an era where, unfortunately, uh, elements of all sorts have pervaded almost every society. So it is important for investigative agencies across the board to keep a track of what's going on. Now, we live in a country where the rule of law is paramount, where investigative agencies have to give an account of themselves. So, if these measures are in place, these checks and balances, then our law um, and any exceptions will be in the interest of the country. Please note two things. One, that taking care of our nation's security, the interests of uh, billions of Indians whose security depends on the government, is an extremely onerous task. And for us to say that these provisions will be uh, misused or will be taken out of context, I do not see that as big a threat as I see the threats to national security. Second, that this law has been put into place after a lot of consideration, deliberation, and there you have uh, redressal in a court of law. In many cases, um, the American Patriot Act, which was enacted after 9/11, and Canadian equivalents and other laws did not have the safeguards we have in our law. Having said that, redressal, approaching a court of law, is always an option in case a citizen thinks that surveillance has gone haywire or too much. But as far as we are concerned, these provisions, unfortunately, are necessary to ensure the safety and sovereignty of our nation. It is like saying that there are CCTV cameras all over marketplaces, not just in India, but around the world. Do I want to be captured on CCTV? Do I want to be known forever that every evening at 6 o'clock I go out and buy a packet of chips? Perhaps not. But uh, this is a necessary part of the society and the world we live in. All I can say is that consistently, successive governments over the last 25 years have overseen this development, and we have the necessary checks and balances in place. Yes, we have our fears, but I'm sure the courts of India will be in a good position, and advocates who represent aggrieved clients will be in a position to ensure that even if there are transgressions, they will be handled and justice will be done.
Thank you so much, sir. We understand the concern of national security for the nation. Our next question is for Christian, sir. What safeguards does the Act provide for sensitive categories like children's data and how they can be enforced effectively?
Okay. So, with respect to children, there are special provisions under the Act. Because, as Modi ji also variously said, children are and youth are our future. They are the future of the country. So, we need to handle them carefully. I mean, they need special care, be it physical world, be it virtual world. Basically, the act has defined 18 years and below as children, individual as children. So children are like they are not able to understand if while sharing their information, including personal information, what risk they are taking and what impact sharing of such information can have on them mentally, psychologically. Okay, so for to considering all those things, the act has made some provisions like behavioral monitoring and targeting advertisement can only be with the government permission. Then there is a very good concept which has been borrowed from other GDPR and this thing, verifiable parental consent. The rule has further detailed, but still more need to be done on this part because that is not defined how that will be achieved. But as this is a starting, so we will learn public discussion and definitely rules will come. There will be amendments. So, but till there is a clarity in the rule, we can go for global practices of getting consent from the parent on some format or through email, or in case there is a US practice, let me tell you, where they ask the parent to fill a consent form, or they on a recorded line they ask certain private questions to verify that parent or the guardian of the children is giving consent. uh, and questions are framed in such a unique way that only a parent or somebody from family only can answer. They are so private questions and this thing. And but at the same time, there are certain exemptions are also like for medicals, like healthcare and educational purpose. But that also needs to be defined, what I believe, because uh, under the grab of this educational activities or uh, uh, healthcare activities, they may be children may be subject to certain unwanted surveillance or this thing. uh, Let me share you one data point from PwC report, uh, where it says that 78% of people are not aware that they supposed to give parental consent and what is parental consent all about. So again, awareness, it's a beginning. We have passed the act. Now rules are available for public discussion. So as we move ahead, I think we would be able to reduce this gap through awareness. So these are all various checks and balances in the act to ensure that children are safe because they are the asset of the country and future of the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Manish, sir, can we have your views also on this aspect?
Parental consent, uh, they are trying to make it mandatory, first thing. Second is, as children, uh, we need to safeguard, whether it's children of India or children of anywhere, as there is a Child Rights Convention, and United Nations also had added some emphasis with this regard and asked the member states, including India, of digital safety for children. It is very vital that at each and every cost, children should be protected via the checks and balances, one. Second, that even though there are exemptions with regard to health, mental health, education, and daycare institution, there shall be such laws or rules, maybe, that frequently they will be uh, accountable. They shall showcase the accountability, what they have, how they have safeguarded, and uh, they should provide the detailed report. Otherwise, there are chances of misuse in the list of exemptions. So most of the time, what we see is rules are all right. There's no issues about the rules, but at the same time, at the same time, uh, we shouldn't have too many provisos that may have problems with this regard. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We have our next question for Akash, sir. So, what opportunities does the Act present for India's startup ecosystem, especially those leveraging big data and AI?
So now I think I'm audible.
Yes.
So as far as my understanding regarding this act suggests what needs to be done in terms of personal data privacy, but not exactly how it needs to be done. So as the Rodney sir mentioned in its POV, so implementation will be the key role for the success of this act. So I think the right consultancy will be the bridge between this the requirement of this act and the implementation of this act. So there will be a huge, huge kind of role of professionals will come out for implementation of this act. So this gap can be covered by the startups. So they can do one thing. Like for if I give you an example, if like everyone is aware about the consent, like we need consent for from data principle, but what about the historical data that we already have been collected by the data fiduciaries? That historical data is also required now. uh, we need to convert that historical data into consented data. So how these things will be done? So there will the crucial role for the startup, so they can make some automatic tools for these by using AI and all those things, uh, and they can offer their products for you can say uh, uh, I would say easy access to the tools to comply with this act. They can make their products. They can and the startups by making these products they can easily approach the international market also, uh, and they can market their these products on the basis of trust and privacy and all those things. So I in my opinion there is a big opportunity for the startups, especially who are working in this big data and AI, so they can come out with their tools and these uh, new products to comply with this so much requirements in this act. So there is a huge opportunity for that.
Thank you so much, sir. Rodney, sir, can we have your views on how this act? Um,
Yeah, sure. I agree with the speakers. This is not just an opportunity for startups, but for any organization to demonstrate compliance. And these will be crucial months as we travel ahead. Organizations should have a detailed implementation plan. They should be able to demonstrate their adherence to their task, to their responsibilities as per the timeline based on their industry and the kind and nature of data they collect. They should have a comprehensive assessment done. And if they are able to successfully demonstrate compliance, I think not just for a startup, but for any organization, I think that will be a tremendous advantage. It will go a long way because a solid and robust data management program, which is compliant with the law, would give any organization the advantage that it needs. Once the organization puts this plan in place, it's important as the law develops, as case law develops, as other good examples come before us, to continuously monitor and review the policy and the practices put in place within this organization. So I think that for any organization, would be a great advantage. And if a startup is able to implement it, then nothing like it.
Thank you so much,
So,
sir. So we have another question for you.
so I would like to
Sure.
add something here. I mean, sorry.
Yes.
So regarding opportunities for startup, I would like to mention that 10 years down the line, I see this as a big industry because there are many areas which this act is opening, like every organization is having data uh, to analyze for various purpose. So for analytical purpose, how the consent will be managed, they need to do lot of processes automate. And startup who offer their products, who make their product according to requirement, like consent manager, then consent seeking consent from individuals, withdrawal, rectification. There are a lot of product you will see going forward in the industry catering to all these things. So not only startup and big players, medium players, all have very good opportunity and maybe a new industry in
True.
making 10 years
True,
down the
sir.
line. Because this all called for innovative idea. AI is already making noise, lot of noise, and some kind of different unique products. Because it's not possible, if not impossible, to manage all these the requirement, and we have to be a compliant society. If we aspire to be a digital economy, their compliances and checks and balance has to be in place. It has to be through some automated processes only. So I believe it to be a very big industry going forward and lot of opportunities.
Thank you so much, sir. So we see that there would be a lot of opportunities along the way. Rodney, sir, we have a question for you. How does the DPDP Act empower citizens in exercising their digital rights, and what more can be done to increase the public awareness?
See, by first um, putting in place a system that is transparent, fair for all, and backed by the rule of law, I think that is the foundation. Personal data to be processed lawfully, fairly, and in a transparent manner. I think that's the cornerstone for the citizen. And moving forward, uh, putting that system in place and empowering the citizen will be the greatest contribution of this law. Then you have other um, areas where the law is impactful. Purpose limitation. For example, businesses, organizations are told that personal data must be collected for specified, explicit, and legitimate purposes only, and not processed onward in a manner that's incompatible with those purposes. Data minimization. Personal data must be adequate, relevant, and limited to the function. Data must be accurate. Above all, stored securely. So we have cyber security becoming an important part of this legislation. Individual rights to access data, to rectify, erase, restrict, object to profiling, all of that is in place in our law. And I think that these are all powerful rights. And I think this act is a worthy successor to the judgment from the Honorable Supreme Court, the nine judge verdict in Puthaswamy, which gave us, or rather made explicit to us, the importance of a privacy law. Now, it is important for us as members of society, organizations such as yours, my learned colleagues who are on the panel, and others to put in place a system where we are able to educate more and more people and tell them their rights, tell them what could happen in case of a data breach, and give them access and empower them to lodge complaints with the necessary regulatory authorities regarding violations of the act or rules as is uh, you know as happens. One last thing, I agree with Krishanji that uh, there is a great potential for startups in this area, where in terms of helping with compliance, in terms of raising awareness, in terms of dealing with complaints, and above all, in terms of data protection, audits, and inspections. So I think we have the foundations, and uh, this is a very important law moving forward. We've got the rules, and I just look forward to all the developments that will happen in this space.
Thank you so much, sir. Our last question for the discussion is for Manish, sir. So, what role do you see for public private partnerships in ensuring compliance and fostering innovation under the Act?
Uh, as Data Security Council is aligned and want more and more people, the startups and all other private sector players, as well as they are aligned with the law enforcement agencies and also with the government, the state government, the central government, respectively. So it is very vital that we should have faith. Even the stakeholders, such as big corporations, corporates, should have faith into this. They should have, as we maintain the transparency and accountability, the government, as we call it as public, and the private sectors, which call the corporates, the MNCs, the startups, the MSMEs, if anybody are already working in this sector, and all other, starting from the individual to the mid level to all these stakeholders are taking into consideration, and we can forge as NASCOM and all other bodies which are already associated, and they are already, before this act came, they also tried to spread awareness about this act. They are even implementing or they are spreading word with regard to this kind of rules wherever it is possible. They are doing advertisement on various platforms, and they want all to come and forge partnership with regard to this safety and security of individual to the corporate to the other non-individual entities whose data shall be at every cost protected. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
So,
Uh,
hello, Ayushi, I would like to add one thing here.
yes,
So, I would quote our Honorable Prime Minister, government has no business to be in business. Government is making a law, rules, after a due deliberation, following a due process. Now, to make this happen and to realize our digital dream and to become the third largest economy of the world, so it calls for a collective approach, collaborative effort by all the stakeholders, as Jadhav sir mentioned. So, because it's a corporates, public government, and then private sector, because they are impacted. If they are not creating awareness, then it will be a challenge to make this happen on the ground. So collective effort is required because there is need to be a cultural shift. We have to become a digitally literal society where people are aware. Our curriculum in school level has to be updated. Even unfortunately, at present, law college curriculum are not updated. They are not teaching about these privacy and all these things. They are doing all these old things. So we have to make a collective thought and take it forward. Thank you.
And and one more thing, like Jadhav sir has mentioned, a very good. Like we need to aware people about this compliance, and also one simple thing, we need some more organizations like EBCC to do this kind of webinars on a frequent basis. So I think that's the only way to aware the data principle of their rights and the compliance of this act and all. So thanks to the EBCC for this kind of webinar and all for to aware the public. And
thank you so much, sir. So, we have a question from one of our listeners today. The question is, we are taking data from customers for succession planning. We intend to use Google Ads on our websites. What are do's and don'ts for us? If any of the panelists would like to answer this question.
Okay, I would like to whatever I can share about this question. So the act talks about the consent, informed consent has to be there. The purpose for which the information has is being taken has to be used for that purpose only, and it has to be secured and it should not be further used. So we have to ensure the data which we are collecting is used, the purpose should be legitimate. Obviously, succession planning seems to be a legitimate purpose. Oh, okay. And the data is being collected. It may include personal data as well. So uh, storage, collection, all has to be in compliance with this act. That is important here. It should not be used further for some other purposes.
Thank you, sir. Would any of the panelists like to add something to the question?
I think any organization dealing with data has to build their policy and practice based on a few important principles. One is transparency. Uh, Businesses have to give their customers detailed information about how they process data, the various policies which need to be published, and security measures which need to be adhered to. The second, they need to empower the data subject to be able to exercise their rights. Because under our data law, individuals have the right to access, correct, delete data, understand what's going on. So if your organization empowers data subjects, then they are doing absolutely the right thing. Consent requirements and the rules have in place the requirement of a consent manager. User consent requirements are extremely important, and so is security. So once you look after the data subject, protect them from harm, and ensure that systems are secure, you are well on your way to a very, very high level of compliance.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, we are done with all the questions that we had for you, and we are really grateful that you spared your valuable time and joined the session for making us aware of the Act and the various aspects that are related to the Act. And I hope that all the people who joined the session found it valuable too. Um, Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.